I bring on today from Mumbai live Kartik Dixit, who is the CEO and co-founder of Evo Foods. Kartik, thanks for being with me today. When you think about replacing meat with cultivated meat, you need to first look at the culture's view of current meat. And I think of India as a country that doesn't eat much meat. But of course, with wealth, just like China, they're starting to eat more and more meat. And I'm wondering, how is meat and dairy perceived?
I think that's a very valid question. I think that's an economic theory in itself. I think whenever GDP increases or income level rises in any nation, meat consumption also rises because meat is seen as a more premium kind of a protein. And in India, I would argue against that. People do consider meat and look down upon meat as an inferior source of protein as compared to dairy.
As
So
compared to
people have
dairy.
been having dairy. Yeah, right, right. People do have dairy on a regular basis, and it's seen as a superior source of protein as compared to meat, or perceived as a superior source of protein as compared to meat. So I would say it's up to it's very interesting to note that India's per capita meat consumption have risen in the last 2 or 3 years. It was 3.6 per person per annum, 3.6 kgs per person per annum, and now it's close to 4.5. So I think that's risen, and that should be worrying us, because even though the per capita consumption is low, the population is so much higher than other countries that it can have detrimental impacts on environment, climate change, animal cruelty, antibiotic resistance, which I would like to definitely give you more info about, because India's poultry farms, uh, it they use antibiotics as a substitute for sanitation, because sanitation is very difficult to maintain, right? When you have these many birds, uh, because I went to these farms, I've seen the reality myself. I'm not just saying that because I read it somewhere. I've seen it firsthand in my friend's poultry farm. I went there and I saw the reality. And there's so much lesser space for chickens that it's very difficult for them as a business to take care of sanitation. They have to invest a lot. They got a lot of cost. So I think to decrease that, what they do is they purchase regular antibiotics such as colistin, which is one of the last resort antibiotics, right? It has to be used in the last stages when nothing else is working. So colistin is actually used in India's poultry farms, and 60 almost more than 63% of samples which were collected all over from India in one study, they found out that 60%, 63% of them had traces of colistin as an antibiotic. So it's really, really a matter of public health emergency. And I think, FSSAI, or, any kind of government agency in India is very well underfunded right now. And government needs to fund these agencies so that they can enforce strict standards in every poultry farm all over India. They can hire personals, and they can look after the supply chain issues and these antibiotic resistance issues. But that's happening in India in the poultry supply chain. So I would say it's very important that we introduce alternative protein to India. We should work on both chicken as well as eggs, because those are the most widely consumed animal proteins, and the supply chain is widely developed. People know and consume it a lot, and that's why we've been really fortunate that we are doing this work, and we believe that it can have mammoth impact in the next 5 years.
Yeah, mammoth impact is right. There's a lot to unpack there. Let's go back and do a little bit of math. So when you're talking about the kilograms, you're talking about 8 or 9.5 pounds per person. In the United States, the average person eats 220 pounds. Now, I'm not eating meat, folks. So that means someone else is eating more, but that's 220 pounds per person per year. It's no wonder that diabetes and heart disease and colorectal cancer are a problem, an expensive healthcare problem, not to mention a quality of life problem in the United States. In India, you're talking about 8 to 9.5, give or take, pounds per person per year. So a lot less, but still with a population of 1.3 or more, approximately 1.3.5 billion people, these numbers take on a large impact globally around the world, particularly as the numbers increase with global wealth.